Hi, in this lecture, we are going to be seeing some operators. So, to give you a brief idea on what are the different operators that we have in JavaScript, I have listed them out here. So, the first one is the arithmetic operators, and probably we have already seen those with the positive and the negative and the multiplications earlier, but we'll dig deep into what arithmetic operators are. The other type of operators are the assignment operators. We already saw the equal to sign. And let's see what other assignment operators are possible. Then there are comparison operators. We'll cover some comparison operators and see how they're useful in JavaScript. We also have logical operators. The next we have is the type operators. The next is the bitwise operators. Let's get started with the arithmetic operators and try to see an example. Here, as you can see, we did a simple addition and got the output as 7 for 5 and 2. Now, what are the other types of operators that we have? The other operator that we have is the subtraction. So, if we run this, we should get an answer 3. So, 5 minus 2 is 3. The other operator that we have is a multiplication. So, 5 into 2, the answer should be 10. The other operator is a division, just like in our mathematics. And this should give me an answer of 2.5. Another operator that we have is a modulus or a percentage sign. What this does is it divides 5 by 2 and it gives you the remainder as the answer. So in this scenario, 5 divided by 2 will have 2 as a real number, as a whole number, and the remainder would be 1. So our answer should give us 1. We also have another operator which is an increment operator. So let's say we have a variable x is equal to 5 and we do x plus plus, that is the increment operator, and then console.log x. Let's see what the output should be. It should give us 6 because it increments the number by 1. Now what if we do, let me copy this up, and what if we put the increment operator before the number? In that case, the output should be 7. Well, the reason being, I incremented a 1 out here and I incremented a 1 here. Now, what is the difference between this and this? Well, in this it says, take x and when I'm done with x, add 1 to it. In this, use x. Before using x, make sure to increment the value of x. That was the increment operator. Similarly, we also have the decrement operator, which is minus minus. Let's try and see what the values will be. And you can see it goes back to 6 and 5 respectively. The next, of course, is the assignment operators. Now, assignment operators, honestly speaking, it's very simple. There is only one operator and that is the equal sign. However, the equal sign along with the combination of other operators gives us more than one assignment operators. Let's say we have a variable y which we want to make sure that it's equal to x. That's assignment operator number 1. And then let's just output y onto the screen and see what happens. If you see, the y value is printed onto the screen. Let me quickly just type in y so that we know that this is y. You can see y is equal to 5. So that's the most basic example of an assignment operator. Now, there are other options, which is if you change this, let's try and do this. Now y is equal to plus equal to x. What this means is that we are going to have y plus x. Now y is already having a value of 5 out here and I add another 5 to it, so y should be 10. Let's try and run this scenario. You can see y is equal to 10. Similarly, if I do a y minus equal to x, the answer should be, now that the value of y is 10, 10 minus x, which is 5. So the answer should be 5. Let's try and see what happens. And the answer is 5. Similarly, we can also have a multiplication in place where we can do y is equal to y star equal to x. Now this is as good as y is equal to y into x. You see the comments are so handy? Okay, so now the output should be 25. The reason being y before applying this is 5 and x is also 5, and that's why the output is 25. We can also do the same thing with a division. And by now y is 25. So 25 divided by 5 again should give us 5 here. The answer is 5. So you can use assignment operators with any of the arithmetic operators and have a better result, which is nothing but a short form of writing some of the statements. Similarly, we can add a modulus and try and see what the answer would be. Let's put the modulus sign and let's see what the answer will be. The answer is 0, which is but obvious because the value of y is 5 and the value of x is 5 as well. So 5 divided by 5, the answer is 1 and the remainder is 0, and that's why the modulus is 0. Now let's see the third type of operators, which is the comparison operators. Let's just understand that comparison operators are used just in mathematics to compare the two sides. So for equal to, we use x is double equal to y. Now what happens is when you write a statement like this, it will give you an output. So let's try and do this. Let x equal to y, and let's put it onto the screen and see what happens in the console log. The answer is false, which means x is not equal to y. Let's print the values of x and y and then see what the values would be. And let's see what the values are. So the values are 5, 0, and that's why they are not equal. Let's say I do the assignment of y is equal to 5 and then run this scenario. And now the answer becomes true. So what I am doing is I am comparing my left hand side with the right hand side, and the answer is either a true or a false, which means it is matching or it's not matching. Similar to this, we also have other type of operators, which is equal to value and equal to type. So let's say if I have another example where I give a triple equal to, what this will check is the values are equal and the type too. So let's change this y to something else. Let's say we have a variable z is equal to 5. Now if I do a z and y comparison, let me put output z here, and then let's compare z. The answer should be false. The reason being the type of both, which is x, which is 5, and type of z, which is a string, is not the same. However, if I remove one of the equal sign and then compare it, the answer would be true, because then it just checks for the value, which is 5, and it doesn't check for the type. So you can make sure that your comparisons are very strict. There are other comparison operators too, like not equal to. Let me put this in the comments so that if you want to refer to it, you can come back and refer to it. And then again, there is a not equal to for that particular type as well. We also have the same arithmetic operators, which is greater than, less than, greater than equal to, and less than equal to. We also have a ternary operator, which is indicated by a question mark. We will cover all these operators in a future lecture. But just understand that comparison operators are used to compare a left hand side and a right hand side and give a resultant value, which is either a true or a false. Logical operators are usually used with comparison operators. So what if I need to compare more than one condition? Let's say in this scenario x is equal to y and x is equal to z. And if I want to compare them together, I will make use of a logical operator. Let me quickly paste this code and say y is equal to 5. Now x will be equal to y and x will also be equal to z. And please note, I have a double equal to and not a triple equal to, so I'm not comparing the types here. The answer should be true. Now, what is a logical operator? So, if I do an x is double equal to y, and there is a logical operator called AND, which is y, x is double equal to z, and then try to run this example, I should get 3 true statements, which is true for x double equal to y, true for x double equal to z, and a true because this statement is true and this statement is true. So the combined answer is a true. If I want to change this and make one of them as a false, let's say I make this z as a false statement. Now the answer would be true, false, false. Oh, I did not put another equals here. Let's try and run again. And the answer is true, false, false. You see, true for x equal to y, true for x equals z, and false for this condition because x equal to y is true, but x equal to z is not. Similarly, there are other logical operators that we will see in greater detail in the future lectures. We also have a logical OR and a logical NOT. So, what this means is one of the two statements need to be true, and NOT means the opposite of the answer. So if x equal to y is true, a NOT on that particular condition should give us a false. Similarly, we have type operators where we can determine the type of a particular variable. So let's say console.log and say type of x, and this should give us a number because x is a number. Similarly, if I do type of z, it should give us a string. You can see. And there is another type operator, it's called instance of. This operator is basically used when we want to compare the type of objects. Just like x and z, we got the type. We also have an instance of which we compare using objects. We will cover this in greater detail in the objects lessons. We also have bitwise operators. Again, these are the ands and the ors, and then along with equal to sign, XOR, NOT. So all these operators are present, but we hardly use in day-to-day JavaScript coding. I have attached a document which will give you a complete list of all the operators so that you know what each operator does. And do make sure to practice each and every operator in this JS bin.